Hey guys, so I decided to answer an old set of LJ questions that I never answered via video rather than text because I think I've crammed you guys' friends' pages with enough text for today. Anyway, these were from my friend Rin. The first question is, considering you and Mark will very soon have to endure this, that should give you an idea of how old these questions are. Considering you and Mark will very soon have to endure this, what is your philosophy on long distance relationships? And are you planning to move back to be with him post Korea, assuming you two survive the year? My philosophy on long distance relationships is kind of complicated. I was in a long distance relationship for 4.5 years, and we spent the summers together and sometimes holidays like Christmas, but for most of the time we were separate. There was a 7 month period where I moved up to live a couple of blocks away from him, but other than that, that was it. And actually, that was the first time I moved out of the house. I moved out of the house when I was 17. To much griping of my parents, predictably. And while I don't necessarily think it was the right decision, I did learn a lot from the situation, and I had a lot of early experience on living by myself and working full time and things like that. And when I graduated high school, I was pretty anti-school, and I think that working full-time in retail for 7 months and living in my own apartment and seeing just how little money I actually had was a good incentive for me to actually do well in school. Sadly, that didn't actually happen, but anyway. So my philosophy on long-distance relationships. I think that they're fine. I think that they are a good option as opposed to breaking up. I think they can be very difficult, and it takes a certain type of person to be able to successfully have a long distance relationship. For one thing, you have to have a tremendous amount of trust for your partner, and you really, both partners really have to have a large amount of trust. And you have to be good at keeping in contact, be it by phone, by email, by IM, preferably some combination of those three. Snail mail is also often nice. The key is making sure also that your partner knows how much you care for them, and that you don't intend to leave them. That sounds kind of obvious, but sometimes if you haven't heard from someone for a while, you start to worry, especially if you're on the female side of things. Anyway, if it's going to be a long time away from someone, i.e., if you're not going to see them for more than about 4 months, or really 6 months, if you're not going to see them for more than about 6 months, I feel personally, and I know actually most people don't share this opinion with me, but I feel that there should be some sort of provision made to allow one or both people to deal with not being around someone that they care about, in terms of emotionally, sexually, whatever. Some people really need someone close, emotionally close to them. Some people need someone to be sexually close to them. It depends. In my case, I don't really get attracted to people unless I'm attracted to them as a person. And I don't really get attracted to anybody as a person when I'm still dating someone else. I kind of have to make a clean break in order for me to kind of mentally be able to make that jump. Some people, though, most people, do get frustrated, especially sexually, when they're away from someone. So in this case with Mark, I have allowed him to sleep with other people while I'm gone. Not 8 million people, but, a couple, under the provision that they know about me. And that he be careful and before I see him again, get tested for everything. Um, and we had a reasonably long talk about this actually when we were in Quebec, before I left, and we talked about, and he said that, in his exact words, I'm the only girl that he wants to be with, but he has needs, and I can understand that. Um, Thanks to being with someone who is essentially celibate for 2 years, I'm pretty good at quote unquote turning off the tap. Um, so that's not so much of a problem with me, but I do understand, that it would be harder for him to remain emotionally faithful to me if he was not able to, uh, be sexually active with someone else. But anyway, to me, it's worth, um, dealing with that to, uh, make it more sure that the relationship will last. Um, there is always a risk. There is a chance that he could, find somebody else while I'm gone, but that's a risk I take, and I would rather take that risk than risk him being extremely frustrated while I'm gone and finding somebody else because being in a relationship was the only other way that he could ease his frustration. So that's it. The other half of the question is, are you planning to move back to be with him post Korea, assuming you two survive the year? I'm hoping that we'll survive the year. Things are looking pretty good right now, and we've been apart for 4 months. Though we still have another 10 or so to go. But when I get back, it's kind of up to him to a degree. I would like to move back together, and we've kind of done some preliminary discussion of this, but whenever you're moving with someone, it's kind of a two-sided deal. You both have to agree on these things. In an ideal world, I'd be able to find a job, or we'd both be able to find jobs in Vermont or Pennsylvania, and I'd love to move there. But in reality, I think we're both going to have to look for jobs and, just go where we can find work. Both of us, thankfully, have professions which it's pretty easy to find a job most places. I am a photographer and I teach English, and pretty much everywhere they need English teachers. And if I can develop a good enough portfolio, I should be able to get a job with a small town newspaper. And since we want to live in a rural area, that's not outside the realm of possibility. As for Mark, with his criminal justice and law enforcement stuff, he should be able to find a job pretty easily anywhere, especially because he's quite experienced, or rather has very good qualifications. But anyway, so that's the plan. But if we, so hopefully we'll move to somewhere that we really would like, but really we'll just go where the jobs go. And it may mean living near DC for a year or so, but that's okay with me. As you know, I'm always interested in learning about new places and whatnot. And while I'd prefer to be in one place for a little while, especially after moving 14 times in 6 years, 7 years. I'd prefer to be in one place, but you do what you have to do. So that was a long answer. Okay, next question.